Amina was a lonely girl. She had no parents, no siblings, and no home. The villagers said her parents died when she was a baby. Some said they were cursed. Others said they were taken by spirits. Amina did not know the truth, and no one cared to tell her. She lived by the river, in a small hut made of palm leaves. Every morning, she fetched water with an old clay pot. She bathed in the river and sometimes caught fish with her bare hands. She had no friends, only the birds and the trees. One hot afternoon, Amina walked to the river to fetch water. The sun burned her skin, and her feet ached from walking on sharp stones. When she reached the riverbank, she knelt to fill her pot. But as she dipped it in the water, she saw something strange. A round, brown calabash floated on the surface of the river. It spun slowly, as if the water carried it with purpose. Amina watched in curiosity. "Where did this come from?" she whispered. The calabash was old. Its surface had tiny cracks, and it looked as though it had been in the water for years. Yet, it did not sink. Amina reached out and grabbed it. The moment her fingers touched the calabash, the river became still. The wind stopped. The birds stopped singing. Everything around her froze. Then, a deep voice spoke. "Amina, you have found me." She gasped and dropped the calabash. Her heart pounded in fear. She looked around. No one was there. The river was silent. The trees did not move. The voice came again. "Do not be afraid." Amina took a step back. Her breathing was heavy. Who is speaking?" "I am the calabash," the voice said. "I have been waiting for you." Amina frowned. "Waiting for me? But why?" The calabash spun in the water. "Because you are the chosen one." Amina did not understand. She wanted to run, but something inside her told her to stay. "Pick me up," the calabash said. "I have something to show you." Amina hesitated. But deep inside, she felt a strange pull, as if the calabash was calling her soul. She reached down and picked it up again. The moment she held it, the river returned to normal. The birds chirped. The wind blew. The trees swayed. Amina looked at the calabash in her hands. It was just an ordinary god. Or was it? She had no idea that her life was about to change forever. Amina held the calabash close to her chest as she walked back to her hut. Her heart was filled with questions. How could a calabash speak? Why did it choose her? Was she dreaming? She placed the calabash on the ground and stared at it. It remained silent. Maybe she imagined everything. But as soon as she turned away, the voice spoke again. "Amina, are you ready to listen?" She gasped. It was real. I don't understand," she said. "You will, in time," the calabash replied. "But first, take me to the big baobab tree in the forest." Amina frowned. The baobab tree was far. It stood alone at the edge of the village, its roots thick and wide like the arms of an old man. "But why?" she asked. "You will see," the calabash said. Amina hesitated, but her curiosity was stronger than her fear. She picked up the calabash and set off toward the forest. The journey was long, and the sun was setting. Birds flew back to their nests, and crickets began to sing. The forest was dark, but Amina did not stop. Finally, she reached the big baobab tree. It was ancient, its bark rough like crocodile skin. The wind whispered through its leaves, making eerie sounds. Amina placed the calabash at the base of the tree. "We are here," she said. The calabash glowed faintly. Then, the ground beneath her feet began to shake. Amina gasped as the roots of the tree moved, revealing a hidden path leading underground. A warm, golden light shone from below. She stepped back in fear. "What is this?" "This is the path to your destiny," the calabash said. Amina swallowed hard. She had a choice, to turn back or to step into the unknown. After a deep breath, she made her decision. She picked up the calabash and stepped into the secret passage. She did not know that this path would lead her to riches beyond her wildest dreams, and a danger she could never imagine. Amina stepped carefully into the underground passage. The walls were made of smooth stone, and golden light flickered from torches that seemed to burn without fire. The air was cool, and the deeper she went, the quieter the world above became. The calabash in her hands whispered, "Do not be afraid, Amina. What you are about to see is a gift, but it comes with great responsibility." Amina swallowed hard and kept walking. The passage opened into a wide chamber. Her eyes widened in shock. Piles of gold, silver, and precious stones lay before her, stacked high like hills of wealth. Clay pots filled with cowrie shells and beaded jewelry surrounded the room. The walls were decorated with ancient carvings of people bowing before a powerful spirit. Amina's heart pounded. She had never seen so much wealth in her life. She had always gone to bed hungry, worn torn clothes, and lived with nothing. And now, before her, was more treasure than she could ever imagine. Is this real?" she whispered. "It is real," the calabash said. "And it is now yours." Amina fell to her knees. "Mine? But why? I have done nothing to deserve this." "You are the chosen one," the calabash replied. "But listen carefully, Amina. You must never tell anyone about this place. This is a sacred treasure, hidden for those with a pure heart. If greed finds its way here, destruction will follow." Amina nodded quickly. "I won't tell anyone." The calabash hummed softly. "Good. Now, take only what you need. Do not be greedy." Amina's hands trembled as she reached for a small pouch of gold coins. She clutched it close to her chest, her mind racing with possibilities. With this, she could buy food, clothes, and a better home. She turned back toward the passage. As she climbed out, the baobab roots slowly closed behind her, hiding the entrance once more. Amina looked around, making sure no one had followed her. The forest was silent. She clutched the pouch and hurried back to her hut, her heart pounding with excitement and fear. She had found a great secret. But could she truly keep it? The next morning, Amina walked to the village market with her small pouch of gold. She had always been the girl no one noticed, the orphan who had nothing. But today, things were different. She bought food, fresh yams, groundnuts, and dried fish. She bought a new wrapper, soft and colorful. The market women stared at her in shock. "Where did this girl get money from?" one woman whispered. "Maybe she stole it," another said. Amina ignored them and returned to her hut. She cooked a delicious meal, something she had not eaten in years. As she ate, she smiled to herself. For the first time in her life, she felt safe. She felt happy. Days passed, and Amina used her gold wisely. She built herself a small, proper hut with strong walls and a thatched roof. She bought new clothes, gave some coins to the poor, and still, she returned to the baobab tree only when she needed more. But people started noticing. "How does an orphan girl have money?" the village chief's wife asked. "She must be hiding something," a jealous woman muttered. Rumors spread. Some said she had found a rich husband. Others said she was a witch. Amina tried to ignore them, but she did not know that her secret was already in danger. The villagers watched Amina closely. She had been poor all her life, yet now she walked with new clothes, ate well, and never begged for food. One night, a group of women sat around the fire, gossiping. "She is hiding something," one woman said. "She was always a strange girl," another added. "We must find out the truth," said Mama Ada, the village chief's wife. The next morning, Mama Ada sent her son, Kofi, to follow Amina. Kofi was a clever boy, and he had sharp eyes. He hid behind trees, watching her every move. Amina did not notice him. She carried her empty basket and walked toward the baobab tree, as she always did. She placed her hands on the trunk, and the roots slowly opened. Kofi's eyes widened in shock. He held his breath as Amina stepped inside the hidden passage. When she emerged minutes later with a bag of gold, Kofi ran back to the village, his heart pounding. By sunset, the whole village knew. Amina has a secret treasure, Kofi announced. The villagers gathered in anger. They had always been poor, struggling for food, while Amina lived in comfort. We must make her tell us, Mama Ada declared. That night, Amina was asleep when loud knocks shook her heart. She sat up in fear. Open the door, a man's voice shouted. Amina's heart raced. She could already tell, her secret was no longer safe. Amina's hands trembled as she stood in her small hut. The villagers banged on her door, their angry voices rising like the roar of a storm. Open the door, Amina. We know you are hiding something. Amina knew there was no escape. She took a deep breath and unlatched the wooden door. The villagers stormed in, their faces hard with suspicion and greed. Mama Ada, the chief's wife, stood at the front, her eyes sharp like a hawk's. Where did you get your wealth, orphan girl? She demanded. Amina clenched her fist. I worked hard for it. Don't lie. Kofi, the chief's son, stepped forward. I saw you enter the baobab tree. I saw the ground open. You have been taking gold from a hidden place. The crowd gasped. Some murmured in disbelief, others in excitement. Gold. A secret treasure. Mama Ada narrowed her eyes. Take us there, Amina. Show us the place, or we will burn down your hut. Amina's heart pounded. The Calabash had warned her, if greed found its way to the treasure, destruction would follow. I can't, she whispered. The villagers grew angrier. A man grabbed her wrist. You will take us there, or we will make you. Fear gripped Amina's chest. She had no choice. Slowly, she nodded. I will take you. The villagers cheered, but they did not know what they were about to awaken. Under the bright moonlight, Amina led the villagers toward the ancient baobab tree. The wind howled through the leaves, as if warning them to turn back. The calabash felt heavy in her arms, as if it, too, knew this was wrong. When they reached the tree, Amina hesitated. The calabash spoke in her mind, its voice grave. You are breaking your promise, Amina. If greed enters this place, it will bring disaster. Tears welled in her eyes. They forced me. I have no choice. The villagers grew impatient. Open it now. Amina placed her trembling hands on the tree trunk. Slowly, the roots shuddered and pulled apart, revealing the hidden passage. Gasps filled the air. The villagers stared in awe at the glowing chamber below. Some ran forward without waiting, their eyes shining with greed. Gold coins. Silver bracelets. Beaded necklaces. The room sparkled with treasures beyond imagination. Mama Ada rushed in first, grabbing fistfuls of gold. Others followed, stuffing their clothes, baskets, and even their mouths with precious stones. Amina stepped back. Something felt wrong. The air inside the chamber grew thick, heavy. The torches flickered wildly. A deep rumble echoed from the walls. Then, a voice, ancient and angry, shook the ground. You were warned. The villagers froze. The golden light in the chamber turned blood red. The ground trembled violently. Suddenly, the walls cracked open, and from the depth of the earth, a shadowy mist rose. It swirled like a living thing, wrapping around the villagers one by one. Screams filled the chamber as the mist turned into hands, pulling them down. The villagers clawed at the ground, but the more they struggled, the deeper they sank into the earth. Amina's breath caught in her throat. She wanted to help, but she knew this was the consequence the Calabash had warned her about. Mama Ada's shriek was the loudest. Amina, help us. But it was too late. One by one, the greedy villagers vanished, swallowed by the mist. The chamber trembled one last time before the baobab root snapped shut. Silence. Amina stood alone in the dark forest, the calabash still in her arms. She had lost her village. But she had learned a terrible truth. Some riches were never meant to be touched. Amina walked back to her hut, her legs weak. The village was empty. The homes of those who had entered the chamber were silent, their fires long dead. No one knew what had happened. Some would come looking for their missing family members. Others would spread rumors of spirits and curses. Amina sat in front of her hut, staring at the calabash. You knew this would happen, she whispered. The calabash hummed softly. I warned you, Amina. Greed destroys all who follow it. Tears rolled down her cheeks. Then why did you choose me? Because you have a pure heart. You never wanted wealth for power or greed. You only wanted to survive. Amina looked up at the sky. The stars blinked down at her, silent witnesses to everything that had happened. She had riches beyond imagination, but at what cost? She decided, then and there, to return the gold to the earth. The next morning, she went back to the baobab tree and buried every coin she had taken. She whispered a prayer, asking the spirits for forgiveness. As she finished, the wind blew gently, carrying her words into the sky. Amina did not know what the future held, but she knew one thing: she would never let greed rule her heart. And so, she walked away from the cursed riches, forever changed by the lessons she had learned.
Lessons from the Talking Calabash. This story carries deep moral lessons rooted in African wisdom, tradition, and spirituality. Here are the key takeaways. 1. Greed leads to destruction. The villagers, blinded by their hunger for wealth, ignored the warnings and suffered the consequences. The pursuit of riches without wisdom or contentment leads to ruin. 2. Some secrets are best kept hidden. Amina was forced to reveal her secret, leading to disaster. This teaches that not everything should be shared with the world, especially when it can be misused. 3. Fate chooses the right people for the right purpose. Amina, an orphan with nothing, was chosen to carry the calabash. Sometimes, those who seem least important hold the greatest destiny. 4. Contentment is the key to a peaceful life. Unlike the villagers, Amina only took what she needed. This teaches that being satisfied with what we have leads to a more peaceful and fulfilling life. Watch out for part 2.